Welcome back. Today's explainer dives right into a fascinating piece of classic storytelling, the timeless fable, Diamonds and Toads. Now, you probably remember this one from childhood, but today we're going to look at it through a highly analytical lens. We're exploring the literal and allegorical power of our words. Honestly, the story is just an incredible case study on how our inner character is forced, quite literally, out into the physical world. So let's jump right in. All right, to set the stage, let's kick things off with this profound observation made by the fairy in disguise. Few hearts are so pure that they do good without thought of reward. This single line absolutely sets the moral stakes for everything we're about to see. I mean, in a world that is so often driven by transactions and self-interest, doing good simply for the sake of doing good is incredibly rare. The fairy is establishing a baseline here, telling us that true virtue isn't about what you get out of an interaction, it's just a pure reflex of kindness. And that right there sets up the central conflict of our entire analysis. Moving right along into Section 1, A House of Opposites, Clarice versus Marianne. So, living under the exact same roof, we see this extreme juxtaposition between the two sisters. Their mother's totally unequal treatment shaped two completely opposite temperaments. On one hand, you have Clarice, the elder sister. She's basically the spitting image of her mother, sharp-tongued, proud, indulged in literally every way, and decked out in ribbons and lace even when the family is strapped for cash. On the other hand, you have Marianne. She's wearing plain, mended dresses and is essentially treated as the live-in servant, doing all the heavy labor. Yet despite all of that, she remains gentle and patient. And, that patience is constantly being tested. The mother's brutality is so clear when she says things like, "Stop daydreaming, Marianne. You will never be anything but a servant." Just brutal, right? But instead of letting that bitterness infect her, Marianne uses kindness as her only armor. Actually, she never answers back. She protects her peace just by remaining gentle, which perfectly tees up the first of the fairy's defining tests. Which brings us to Section 2, the fairy's two tests, down at the old stone well. Now, the motivation behind each sister's journey to this, completely dictates how they behave once they get there. Marianne is practically forced to walk nearly a mile in this shimmering, intense summer heat just to serve her family. She's exhausted, her arms are shaking. But Clarice? She's sent later, purely out of greed. Her mother just sees a chance to double their wealth. So Clarice totally resents the walk and is only going because she expects a massive payout. That intent frames everything that happens next. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the moral allegory of the tale. The fairy doesn't just give them the exact same test, she mirrors each girl's internal expectations. For Marianne, the fairy shows up as an old, thirsty beggar. Marianne responds with pure grace, rinsing her jug, drawing fresh water, and serving the stranger so sweetly. But for Clarice, the fairy appears as a stunning princess. Why? Because Clarice respects status. Or well, she thinks she does. Yet, when asked for water, Clarice refuses to serve even a princess, acting incredibly rude because she feels she's just too entitled to serve anyone. And boom, this is the absolute turning point for Clarice. "I would deny it to anyone who thinks me a servant." Her harsh rejection of the disguised princess is the nail in the coffin, proving she lacks that pure heart her sister had. She went to the well looking for a transactional reward, but when she actually had a simple opportunity to just be kind, her vanity and pride blocked her completely. Let's look at the fallout from that in Section 3, Rewards and Curses. Inner Character Revealed. Okay, so here's the magic. The crucial point is that Marianne's polite words become tangible treasures. We're talking diamonds, roses, pearls, sapphires, delicate lilies falling from her lips. The fairy explicitly says this is the outward sign of her inner goodness. Every single time Marianne speaks, her gentle nature creates real physical value. It's such a vivid metaphor for how kind words enrich the environment around us. Of course, her mother immediately goes greedy for the gems, completely missing the point of how they were actually earned in the first place. Conversely, we see the dark side of this magic with Clarice. Yikes. When she gets home and opens her mouth to complain, her cruel words instantly transform into slithering snakes and croaking toads. It is literally a plague. All her anger, her vanity, her sharp tongue, it takes the form of these repulsive creatures. Her family is horrified. It just beautifully and kind of grossly captures the idea that toxic words pollute whatever space you're in, driving people away and creating misery for everyone within earshot. So where does that leave everyone? Section 4, the ripple effects, and how their fates are sealed. We can easily track how Marianne's words elevate her life. It's a total glow-up. Ironically, it starts with her being unfairly banished to the forest by her mother, who blames her for Claris's curse. But out there, she's found by a passing prince. When she speaks, out come the pearls and lilies. She completely enchants the king's court with her grace, eventually becoming a beloved queen. Her kindness just has this expansive, blooming effect, right? The entire kingdom flourishes under her reign, proving that kindness spreads like wildfire, or in this case, sunlight. The king totally gets the social currency of her grace. He declares, "A woman whose words bear flowers will surely make the kingdom bloom." He's not just looking at the diamonds and thinking, "Awesome, free money for the treasury." No, he sees her gift as a unifying leadership quality. It's this realization that true wealth and leadership really stems from humility, generosity, and the ability to bring light to the people you serve. Now, contrast that upward trajectory with Clarice's tragic downward spiral into complete isolation. Her toxic words literally drive everyone away. Even her own doting mother banishes her in fear and disgust. Clarice ends up roaming friendless in the woods, weeping and cursing. But remember, every curse just spawns more toads and snakes. Her bitterness isolates her further and further until she just fades. She vanishes from the world entirely. It's a pretty haunting reminder of how hostility ultimately consumes the person holding onto it. And we definitely can't forget the mom in all this. Her arc wraps up with a very harsh reality check. Without her kind daughter around, she finds absolutely zero comfort in the riches she hoarded. The jewels she greedily gathered from Marianne's words, they suddenly seem dull and worthless. Her greed twists into madness, and she dies alone by the hearth, just surrounded by the fading remnants of her stolen wealth. It perfectly demonstrates that wealth gathered without genuine kindness or love is always going to crumble into sorrow. Wrapping it all up in Section 5, the ultimate takeaway, a truly timeless lesson. What this story truly defines for us is grace. True grace is a kindness that costs absolutely nothing, yet makes the world incredibly rich. It's the core idea that kindness is the only true treasure that's going to shine forever. Beauty fades, right? We saw that with Clarice. Wealth crumbles, like we saw with the widow. But a gentle heart and the outward sign of goodness it produces, that outlasts absolutely everything else. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, lingering question to really chew on. If your words took physical form right now, what would fall from your lips? Would it be flowers and jewels that enrich the people around you? Or would it be something else entirely? It's a pretty powerful thought to carry with you as you go about your day. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will catch you in the next explainer.